Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday, the 15th edition of Good Afternoon Michigan Football. On the Maize and Blue Review, I'm Dennis Fithian, and we're ready to kick this one off. It's going to be an exciting weekend. And we're not even there yet. It's going to be an exciting Friday. And if it's exciting if you're a Michigan football fan. Let me just put it out. And most of you tuning in to a show called Good Afternoon Michigan Football, you are Michigan football fans, so you should be excited. Today's show is a good one. We're going to sit back and chill and watch and talk about and interact with Michigan's best drive of the year. Michigan has played 13 games already. They have had a number. I mean, when you win, this is you'd say it goes without saying, but and it's not going to be a surprise to you when you win the Big Ten, when you win a Big Ten championship, when you go undefeated. There are going to be a lot of key moments, key drives, and best drives of the year. A couple days ago, we did best and biggest pass of the year. Yesterday, we did best and biggest run of the year. Today, we're doing a best drive of the year. But we've got a lot of other things that we need to get to, and I'll just put it up on the screen for those of you that are watching and those of you that are listening. We will read it off the screen, so you won't feel left out. We've got 16 days left until New Year's Eve, and that is when the Fiesta Bowl is going to be played with Michigan and TCU. We are counting down those days. We are excited. Would I just hit a fast forward button if I could do so? And take 16 days out of my life and just like immediately, this would be New Year's Eve, boom, would I do it? I would not. I'm going to try to enjoy these next 16 days leading up to New Year's Eve. I mean, imagine that. Like, you didn't really like 2022? Boom, it is gone until at least to the last day. You might be that excited for Michigan football that you would choose to push that button. Myself, I'm going to just take it day by day and enjoy it. And I am looking forward to New Year's Eve and Michigan playing TCU. So we'll, that's always top of mind. We've got the drive of the year that we're going to start with. Michigan has just picked up what looks like a transfer. He thinks he's transferring in. He looks like he's transferring in. So we'll talk about that. And Michigan has just picked up a commitment. So that is a lot of stuff to get to. And as always, if you're out there like Jason and you wanted to make a point, this is an interactive show. And we put your points up on the screen and, we talk about them and what you have to say. We are going to, when you think about drive of the year, you think of it yourself. When I asked myself this question initially, would it be entertaining for the people to talk about the drive of the year? Are there more than one that people might think of? And I came back to yes on all of that. I think it'll be entertaining. There was more than just one drive. And as I've looked into it, did you know that when J.J. McCarthy starts, and he started in game 2 this year against Hawaii, so he has had 12 starts. When J.J. McCarthy starts and Michigan has their first possession, Michigan scored in those 12 games touchdowns 9 times on their first possession, right down the field. J.J.'s first drive as a starting quarterback, he handed it off to Blake Corum for 24 yards, and then he threw a 42-yard touchdown to Roman Wilson. 2 plays, first possession as a starter, touchdown. And he just kept going. Now, UConn, 4 plays, 72 yards, touchdown. Get into that Big Ten conference. Michigan, Maryland. Remember, Maryland, the ball bounced off his head, so Michigan on their first possession, they're right at the 10-yard line. McCarthy back, Luke Schoonmaker, touchdown. And it just kept happening. I thought myself when I asked this question, all right, what was Michigan's most impressive drive? I remember the drive at Iowa. We had talked so much about the non-conference schedule. We had talked so much about then, Michigan's first 4 games. Come to find out, Maryland was a little bit more difficult opponent than I was giving the Terps credit for being, and they ended up, giving Michigan a really good test. Actually, when you look at the entire year, maybe their toughest test, and the way JJ played in the first half. But everybody was pointing to October 1st. That was going to be Michigan's first road game. JJ McCarthy's first road start. How would the young buck perform away from the friendly confines of the Big House? The answer, really good. He took the first possession and the first drive, 11 plays, 75 yards, right down the field, touchdown. Ended up giving it to Ronnie Bell, who went in and ran it in. It just kept happening at Indiana. 5 plays, 77 yards, touchdown. Michigan on their first drive. The only 3 times that Michigan didn't score with JJ at the helm. Against Penn State, they drove down, settled for a field goal. Against Ohio State, remember the Buckeyes scored their first drive. Michigan came back and answered with points, but not a touchdown. They settled for a field goal. So when McCarthy starts a game for Michigan this year, Michigan has come away with points 11 of those 12 possessions on their first drive. Impressive. The one that they did not get a touchdown or field goal, you probably will remember the game against Michigan State, where they got it into Spartan territory, barely over midfield, and then Cornelius Johnson fumbled. No points, no touchdown, but Michigan was able to survive that game and get a victory over the Spartans. What was that? A 29-7 final. But when I ask myself that question and I'm going through it all and everything, and it's not just first possession we're talking about any possession in any game that comes to mind. It's none of those that have been mentioned, although the one that came to mind first was that Iowa one, because I had thought about it all year long, just like you. And, Michigan was the hot knife through butter and went right down there and scored. And it was like, wow, they did that a lot this year. I mean, that you were, as much as Michigan's defense was spectacular with their adjustments at the half, and they came out and dominated in the second half defensively, scheming things up. Jesse Minter and Steve Clinkscale, the co-defensive coordinators, Minter Klink, if you will, they were awesome, and they deserve all the plaudits. They were great. But Michigan offensively, with Matt Weiss and Sharon Weissmore, they were as impressive, almost as impressive, I guess, as impressive with their halftime adjustments and what they were able to do offensively with their play sheet and the script, and how U of M was pretty tight at the half in a lot of these games. And then they poured it on offensively, and then they stiffened defensively. Again, when you go undefeated, you're going to have a lot of this. When you look at the numbers, spectacular for Michigan. You look at the adjustments, really good. Drives of the year, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Like if this was a 5-7 team or something, sitting around talking about best run of the year and best pass of the year, you do all of that, it's still fun. It's a team. If that's a team, we were covering here, it wouldn't be a whole lot of fun talking about a 5-7 Michigan team. But, this is a banner year, and the best is yet to come. So, with all of that, the drive of the year, let's see right here, Mark is on it. And this is it, Mark. The drive of the year, Mark pinpointed. First one I looked up, and it was on. And let's just say we are going to go through this particular drive. Let's start it out. Now, we're not just going to show you the whole drive. We've got those recruiting news to get to. So we'll be in and out of this game. But here's Michigan starting it out. And you can see they are in the third quarter here with 6 minutes to go. This is Michigan's drive of the year. Now, I already watched this today. And what I can tell you here is that to this point, the first thing that Gus Johnson says is that Michigan has thrown the ball more than they have run it in this game. They had thrown the ball 20 times and only ran it 15 times. Another note in this drive is that, as you see some of the highlights for the game here and the big plays, J.J. McCarthy with 3 plays of over 45 yards or more. already to this point in the game, and that was the most in Michigan and Ohio State history for a UFM quarterback. So he is already, as he takes it around and gets a first down, JJ McCarthy, had already done something. Here it is, 3 passing TDs of 45 yards or more, most by a Michigan player in the series history. Michigan hasn't won this game yet, and here's McCarthy already with an A-plus game, doing something that no other quarterback has ever done in series history. Amazing. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, already 263 yards. Michigan with a clean set of downs here. They end up surgically going down the field, running and throwing with an excellent mix. Here was a surprise. I think Donovan Edwards is going to get involved here coming up shortly. Here's JJ tucking it and running it, diving towards that first down marker. That's what they say, kids. Let's get ahead of the chains. You on first down, you run it for 9 yards, 8-9 yards. That is getting ahead of the chains, and that's what happened here. Donovan Edwards had only, to this point, by my count, had run the ball for 21 yards in this game. And he ends up with, what, 200, over 200? But only, and here he is fighting, can't run between the tackles. There he is running between the tackles, finding daylight, getting Michigan an extra set of downs. It's really, what you talk about, drive of the year. That's what we're talking about right here. It is, it's really something. Also involved in this particular drive, you have a little bit of controversy with a timeout and Harbaugh. It takes a long time, but also involved is a play that will live in Michigan fans' minds forever, and that's with a linebacker throwing on a 3rd and 1, a jump pass. So that's forthcoming as well. So, there's a lot of exciting things. I don't know. Did they have any negative plays? Here's Donovan Edwards. And, we think about him. Edwards was nominated for biggest run of the year by me, 75 yards for a touchdown that happens later in this game in the 4th quarter. But here he is in this drive getting and picking up a short yardage first down. Here he is running between the tackles, banging into and dragging some would-be tacklers, to set up a 2nd and 1. And this is it. It's a nice play sheet. If you're Weissmore, whoever is, calling the play here, you have the world's your oyster, the play sheet. Call whatever you want. You want to take a deep shot like he does right here to Andrell Anthony? Take it, even though it looks like they weren't on the same page there. Very aggressive. That's an aggressive play call. Bomb down the middle. Going to Andrell Anthony. You like that? Let's see the route here. Simple move. We know that Antoine didn't like that. He wants 3 or 4 moves, and then it'll work for Michigan. I'm just joking with Antoine. He's already talking about route concepts. What's this? 3rd and 1. They're just going to plow this one up the middle. No, they are not. A jump pass. A blind jump pass by Khalil Mullings. Look at it. Khalil. Look at how cool he played it. It was like, oh, yeah. I had Schoonmaker. Did he catch it? This thing work? Michigan jumping around. Everybody, here's the slow. This is it. This is the best part of it here. You can see him just popping up above the scrum there and finding Schoonmaker for the first down. Here's a better view. Another view, I should say. Jump. And Ohio State had no idea what was happening there forever. Remember that. They're still slapping his helmet saying, what's up? Yeah. I think you knew it at that point. Everybody's pretty fired up. Donovan Edwards again, slamming it forward for some more yards. Excellent drive. We'll continue. We'll put it up on the screen, and we'll have it here for you as they move it down. Let's just pause it right here and just, this has been a pretty exciting drive for Michigan as they take it down the field and and, ultimately score on this drive of the game with just a 4-point lead. It goes from the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and Michigan masterful on this drive that earns them drive of the year as they beat Ohio State. All right, other news for Michigan. Here is a recruit that Michigan landed, and this just happened. They get RP3, Roderick Pierce the third, a 23 signing period. The early signing period's coming up on Wednesday. Michigan picking up a 4-star defensive tackle, a former Wisconsin commit. He was down to Illinois and Michigan. He had offers from Auburn and Texas, but he elects to go maize and blue. And great get. In Michigan yesterday, we were talking about them being on the outside looking in, the team ranking for rivals in the top 25. This particular 4-star moves them up 5 spots from 26 to 21. Boy, you can really vault up the rankings with a big time commitment, and that's exactly what happened here with RP3, who now you expect to be part of this class for Michigan coming up on Wednesday. Here's the particulars with him: 6'3", 285, defensive tackle out of Brother Rice in Chicago, and this lifts Michigan's now total commitments for this upcoming class, the 2023 class, to 19. Now, that is a very good get for the Wolverines. Congratulations to Roderick Pierce III and his entire family on his commitment. And there you go. We've got some transfer news that we're going to get to here in a moment. Let's knock down some of the feedback. Antoine was mentioning Antoine feels that the biggest story, this isn't about the biggest drive or the biggest, he just says biggest story, should be instead of U of M running a basic route, they actually ran a double move slant. In fact, most of the routes they scored on double moves, which I've been calling for all year. Now, I think you can take credit for that, Antoine, and I'm no football coach and everything else, but the first long touchdown to Cornelius Johnson in this Ohio State game was a 3rd and 9, and J.J. McCarthy just threw it over to the left side. Cornelius Johnson caught it, made a move, ran down the sideline. No double moves, no route trees, just out there, throw the ball, play. The next one in the first half that Cornelius Johnson scored on, the 75-yarder. Now, you may have an all-22, and you may be able to see a route developing that you call some kind of double move or route tree that you have been calling for. What I saw was McCarthy whipped the ball down the field, and Johnson was open, and he hit him. And Johnson had to come back a little bit. It wasn't, picture perfect, but he hit him. Quarterback throws, receiver catch, touchdown. Now, maybe you're right. The other 45-yarder that he threw to Loveland, that looked like a tight end just going down the seam. And you know what McCarthy had did there? He spotted his receiver, and he put it on him. And he scored a touchdown. Now, again, you might be right. It might have been some sort of route tree that you have been calling for. I'm not 100% sure. It sounds like I feel like, it wasn't all that because I didn't actually see all that. And again, I don't have the all-22. I don't know how you actually saw that, or maybe you were able to piece it together by him running in and then you slowed it down. So he had to have done some kind of double move. And hey, if you think that's the biggest story because you were calling for it, I'll say congratulations, man. You're on it. You definitely did want to see more route trees and more sophistication from the wide receivers. And that was a big buzz from a lot of Michigan fans, including yourself, that were on that. But I think about like Purdue, the 25-yarder to Colston Loveland that J.J. McCarthy found to open up the opening salvo in the Big Ten title game. That was no complex route tree or anything else. You know what it was? Is J.J. McCarthy rolled out and he fired the ball down to the end zone into a double team, and Loveland went up and made a spectacular catch and scored a touchdown. There was no complex route tree or anything that you're talking about there. It's just running on down there. Touchdown. Let's see what some others have to say. Account 22 says that Mozzie is good to go with a court date getting moved to after January 12th. Yeah, I saw that since January 12th, if Michigan wins on New Year's Eve, the championship game is played on January 9th. That date does set up nicely for Michigan and Mozzie Smith. I don't know. Was that just the luck of the draw? Was that Michigan getting some help from the local authorities, the judicial system? I don't really know. I think it's worked out. So that's nice. Let's see. What else do we have here as we go through it? We got people giving each other shout outs. That's good. Sharon Moore. Here's Mark giving Sharon Moore being the most underrated coach in the Big Ten. Rob saying that U of M should just hire Gus Johnson. He does the games anyways. I mean, there was a stretch there that Michigan and Joel Klatt was, doing a lot. Antron is proud to see Michigan run something other than a go route. All right. Here's Neil. Got a little a recruiting thought. Why can't Michigan recruit with top schools? Is it NIL, or is this coaching staff just bad? Recruiters, or Harbaugh's conservative approach to his offensive scheme attracts top talent in skill position. Yeah, I don't think that it's anything to panic about. I think that even when there wasn't NIL, there was NIL. Teams were still paying players. That just didn't get talked about a lot, and Michigan was able to traverse and have some success recruiting. But they still, just a few years ago, finished 24th in recruiting, and people were complaining about that. And that class was really big in these last 2 years. You do have to pull top talent. I'm not kidding anybody else, but as we've been over, the coaching staff being bad recruiters. Well, they were a top 10 class. Now they have different coaches this year. So if you want to signal some of the guys out and say, well, maybe these guys aren't up to snuff. I think that where you're seeing the lack of 5 stars and 4 stars, the very top guys want guaranteed signing bonuses. And we can go over it a million times. They want the money up front, and they're getting it. And Michigan has decided to go a different route. So, and here's the one thing, because previous to even this year, even though Michigan already had won the Big Ten and been to the college football playoffs last year, finally it was like, they don't have to have that and have other teams use that against them in recruiting, because that used to be a big stickler. And I saw it. Guys want to go somewhere where they can win. Guys want to go somewhere where certainly they can go pro. Guys want to play for championships. And previous to the last 2 years, that was a sticking point for Michigan. But now what's being tested is the old saying that winning takes care of everything. It takes care of everything, but recruiting 5 stars and 4 stars with name, image, and likeness, apparently. So I'm not panicking about it. I do think this is a test year for U of M. And with Harbaugh having the success that he has, if after this, and if Michigan doesn't get the kind of players that they want, if Harbaugh, wants to, continue having success, he will make a decision. Let's just keep plugging away the way we're doing it right now, or they'll change one way or the other. We can sit around and hand wring and gnash our teeth and accuse people and talk about all kinds of other things, but Michigan has done everything else. They say, they have checked all the boxes. Michigan has checked all of the boxes except the one that says that they're not giving up front money. That's the only box that they haven't checked. So they'll have to make the decision. And the great thing about Harbaugh is he is in such a great position because of the power that he has now. Whatever kind of money, power, whatever direction he wants to go, he can do it. And so he will either have the box of the NIL, he will have this box, and he will either say, okay, he can do this, and he can check the box, or he cannot. And then, Michigan's going to have to go with the way they've been doing it. That's it. You want other people telling you other things or something else? That is how it's going down. Let's look at the drive of the year, a 2nd and 4 into Ohio State territory. Michigan with their offensive line. There's Hayes. There's Keegan. There's the Ohio State coach, as he's called now by Michigan fans, third base. There's third base. He looks worried. Man, I didn't notice how. Look at the wrinkles on it, the frown. You can just tell, the pain right here as Michigan gets down inside the red zone. And they hand it up the middle to Donovan Edwards. A lot of Michigan fans, even though the Wolverines were leading at this point 24-20, I'm sure after that play call, they know it's coming. Stop running it up the middle. You can't just do it like this. And here are the Buckeye fans. What are they doing? They got 3 fingers in the air, or is that just the Buckeye salute? The 1 finger in the air that the Ohio State fans. Yeah. Quick story. First time I ever went down there with a friend, met him for breakfast, and this little old lady sat across from us, and he was like, "Good morning." She gave him a flip. She flipped it right off. He said, that was the Ohio State salute. Oh, look at this. Michigan picking up the first down, or did they? Right on the line. It becomes like a 5-minute stop here. But you might not have liked the idea here of just running the ball on a 3rd and short. But look at Edwards. Gets a little skinny there. Gets to the line. And, they force Harbaugh to call a timeout here. And then Harbaugh's like, where's the play clock? It's running down. Does Michigan know what they're doing? This crew doesn't know what the hell they're doing. So Michigan has to burn a timeout here. Everything's a little bit, everybody's frustrated. Harbaugh is, at least on this first down. Is it first down? Is it 4th down? They moved the chains. What's going on? Here's JJ's like, I want some more time. What's up with the play clock? Harbaugh's mad. There you go. There's a little bit of time. I could fast forward a little bit, but we've got to get to that transfer that I was talking about and some more feedback. This just happened. No, not this. That's more Harbaugh yelling. I don't mind watching. Let's take that down for a second. This is what I want. This guy, Ernest Hausmann. He put on Twitter, next chapter, go blue, committed. Michigan transfer. And he's got the jump man and everything else. Played for Nebraska, committed to Nebraska, a 3-star linebacker out of Columbus, Nebraska. He weighed 210. He was 6'3", 210 out of high school. And he wants to come in as a linebacker for Michigan. Now, here you go. And, you start looking at the numbers. And here's, if you're somebody that thinks, well, does this signal that one of the linebackers on the team is going to transfer? Does this signal that one of the linebackers on the team is going pro? What about some of the younger guys, going into the portal? What about recruiting? Does this X out everything? This is the part of the plan that becomes pretty, difficult. Like, maybe all of those things. There's a lot of different things that could be going on there. Somebody could be going to the portal, forthcoming. Somebody could be transferring. Somebody could be going pro. You got all of that, of the possibilities with this as a transfer coming in. So is it good news? I mean, if he's an outstanding player, it's good news, right? Who's leaving, because of for whatever reason, and the numbers. Now, I know it's all going to get sorted out. and it's all going to get sorted out. But, I know you want those answers right now. And you know how you get those answers right now? Well, I'm going to let you know how you get them. You join the Maize and Blue Review because Josh Henschke and Trevor McHugh and staff, that's what they're working on. The numbers, who's coming, who's going, who's committing, who's transferring, who's going to the portal, who's going pro. They're up to speed on all of this to the second. They're not putting anything wild out there and taking shots. They're reporting. They're talking to their sources. And you want to know what's going on right up to the second. You give yourself or you give somebody you love the gift of the Maize and Blue Review. And when you do that, then you can call them. You say, what the hell's going on over there? And then you'll know. You'll know before anybody else. And you've got all of that stuff going on for you. And, this being the holiday season and everything else, it's a great prize, a great gift. Get that premium access for a full year for $22 right now. Use the code MBR Holiday. You're going to buy a tie for $40. You're going to buy some golf balls for $55. Give your dad, if he's a Michigan fan, a gift of the Maize and Blue Review. You're smart. He'll smile. He'll love it for sure. He'll go on there and he'll say, that 50 who does the podcast, he's on the Maize and Blue Review posting board, putting questions and talking football all day long. He's talking route trees. He's talking passing concepts. He's talking about what's going on downfield. Let's get to some more of the recruiting and some of the feedback here. I want sometimes, I forget where I'm at. We'll start with Rob, who's talking about the Don without the cast is going to be running some wheel routes. We won't be able to call him the one-handed, the one-armed bandit anymore, but I'm fine with that. And I think you're fine with that as well. The Don, I would think that you would be able to do anything with the Don. Whatever your call sheet, whatever you're sitting around thinking, we've got a chess piece. And in chess, you want the queen that can go anywhere. You want a chess piece that's versatile. You've got Dono. And you can do anything you want with that chess piece. You can move it anywhere. And you end up looking pretty good. So I'm with you there. Mark asking a question, how the heck do these analysts pull records like JJ throwing 3 plus 45 yards in this series with Ohio State? Stats out of thin air. What software or access do I need to get this encyclopedia? It's not as tough as you think, Mark. I think you go to, you can play around with it a little bit, but you go to College Football CFP Reference. College Football Reference, they've got a page where you can put all kinds of different, declarations in there, all kinds of different ways, 45 yards, specific series, and set it up, and you push go, and you sit around all day with that thing. And it might take, the pro football one's pretty good, but like a lot of places, to be able to use it all and to be able to get all of that, you have to have the premium access to some of that. And you might have to have that from College Football Reference, but you can also do a lot with it. Who you can put an age in there, you can put 1,000 yards, you can put games. I mean, there's a lot of different labels and things you can put on there, to fit. So it's not Joel Klatt that's sitting over there on College Football Reference. If you ever look up there in those broadcast booths, they got a couple spotters, they got a couple other dudes. They're going to have a person or two that is going to be sitting around that's pretty good on the computer. I'm going to be able to sit over there and, get the record book out, got all kinds of different things. And that's their job during the game, to be able to pull that kind of stuff out. And, back in the day, these are the guys that used to, carry heavy briefcases up there. They had all kinds of record books and, and they had all these different things. Now, you can get it done on a pretty thin computer as long as you know where you're going. long as you can, set the right adjustments for what you're looking for, that's what they do. So, they make the announcers sound good in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, they are good, but that's how they get it. Let's get to this best drive of the year. Michigan has now moved into the fourth quarter. This is the first play of the fourth quarter, drive of the year for Michigan. And they get down here and they're trying to put it in. And remember, we watched all year long. Here they are running it up the middle again. Stop running it up the middle. What's Weissmore doing? Why is Harbaugh playing so conservative? These are things that might be running through your head. There was a time before, I don't know, until Rutgers, that they kind of figured it out. Michigan's red zone touchdown offense wasn't spectacular. And, scoring touchdowns rather than kicking field goals. That's how you're going to beat Ohio State. That's what a lot of people were saying, myself included. This is a 2nd and 11 that we're looking at here on the screen. And so 2nd and 11, is Michigan just going to run it up? No, they're going to take a timeout. I'm going to say it's a good timeout by Jim Harbaugh. They're looking for a certain look. And I don't actually remember the play that they run here, but, they're going to talk it over a little bit. Ultimately, this one ends up with the drive of the year, but J.J. McCarthy putting the team on his back. Already we've seen in this drive, J.J. throwing it, J.J. running it, and Donovan Edwards has been featured a lot, picking up some key third downs. And then a 3rd and 1, you had one of the great plays in Michigan football history with the jump pass from Khalil Mullings. There's Mike Seymour still getting everybody fired up on the sideline. Agent Zero has indicated that he's coming back for next year. He makes a big play coming up in this game when he knocks it away from that tight end on a key 3rd down. They're 2nd and 11 on the drive of the year for Michigan. Do they decide to just run it right up the middle here after they've been able to talk about it after a timeout? They must have some kind of play really cooked up here. No, they're going to go play action. Oh, man, JJ's in trouble. Look at, he spins away and incomplete. That could have been a huge loss. It's 2nd and 11 there. He takes a sack. You're talking about, 3rd and 25. That's a 5-star and 9 chasing him down. To be able to just get away, those guys, I think they had 2 guys right there coming after him that weren't even blocked. So they bring the house. This is the Ronnie Bell play. This is one of the most underrated plays of this game because this is a 3rd and 11 for Michigan. And, kicking a field goal, going up 7, sure, that's good. You're going to do a little bit of clap here. But, yeah, they even show Ronnie Bell. And JJ gets a little bit of time, but he's got to run. He just heaves it up there for Bell. And there it is. The flag comes out. Now, there was some hand fighting in here, but number 4, the defensive back, he just doesn't play this well enough. Whereas it's almost like taking candy from a baby because if he has the hand fighting and he locates the ball and he turns his head, I don't know if he's going to get the flag here, but the ref had no other choice but to throw it. You might, I know Ohio State was talking about uncatchable and everything else, but when you look at it, this DB does not locate the ball. He's there. If he turns, heck yeah, that was catchable. But if he just turns and locates that ball, I think you could get away even with that hand around him. But instead, JJ knows with the fist pump. That's going to be half the distance, and now Michigan's going to have a 1st down, and they're going to continue. That fan knows it as well. Big play. Ohio State doesn't like it. They're crying. But they don't have really a leg to stand on here. Michigan set up 1st and goal. Bring in a big fullback. This one's going to be right up the middle. Right up the middle. Not happening. That's Harbaugh. You knew that was happening. 44, who ends up getting pancaked in this game by Huntingford. He's a hell of a player. He was in there on that one. Is Michigan just going to be able to run it up the middle? Wow, taking Donovan Edwards out? I don't know about that. I don't know about that play call. We'll keep some of the feedback as we keep it going here. We definitely want to see what's going to happen on a key second down on the drive of the year for Michigan. I just hand it off again now. Little rollout. Ooh, just a little bit too tall for Loveland. Gash was in there. Somebody was talking about Isaiah Gash yesterday, and one of the biggest catches of the year, the fourth down against Illinois. There's Loveland, who was out in the flat. Almost could have caught that one. That would have been a hell of a play. Bringing on the one-arm bandit again. 3rd and goal. I don't know how many, where are my keys? I don't have them. I was going to start jingling them. This is, Drew Henson ran the ball last time Michigan won in Columbus. Drew Henson, if you'll remember, ran the ball down in the horseshoe. What does J.J. McCarthy do on 3rd down? He runs it in for a touchdown. Shades of Drew Henson. Michigan gets the score there. I have to tell you how big that was. Drive of the year. He's pumped. Keegan's pumped. Zinter's pumped. Fans waving to the Ohio fans. Get back on the sideline. Ooh, those Ohio State fans don't like it. See the posture. Not good. This was run all the way. Is Donovan Edwards going to block? He does. On big 44. 44 is supposed to be like a great, not just like some good player. And it kind of doesn't seem like he had he kind of seemed like he was a little too tall there. He's supposed to be down in some stance, fighting, pushing guys back, making a play. Look at that. All the way around. J.J. McCarthy, 3 touchdowns. Now, 4 touchdowns, 1 running. Put Michigan up 10, make it 11. On the drive of the year for the Wolverines. Here it is again. J.J. crashing in. 14. Can't tackle. 15 plays, 81 yards, 751 with a 4-point lead. Let's check that NIL box. Getting it done. That's the drive of the year for Michigan. Let's get back to some of the feedback here. And we get to account 22. He's had a nice couple days here. Nice run on Good Afternoon Football. Recruiting seems to be working well. 13-0. The last Edwards run, I thought Gus called it out as an 85-yard run. The first one was 75, you're right. The second one was 85. If I said it differently, I was wrong. And you were right, Mark. You're exactly right. The second one was an 85-yard run. Wayne says statisticians ask questions, put it into Google. Yeah, Google, all kinds of different machines to be able to help you out. College Football Reference. I don't think you're getting the, as somebody who has tried different things on Google, specific to statistics for a football game, one where you're looking for the most 45-yard touchdown passes in series history, you're going to need a specific college football machine to get through that. You're not going to be finding it on Google. Andre's like that pancake. Yeah, that was one of my favorite plays of this game. Antoine, I don't know if this is a little salty from Antoine here, saying don't start talking recruiting with some of these fans. You might be to me too, Antoine, because yesterday you were telling me, and I was like, I'm not. I'm going to have to wait for a 24. And actually, the guy that you were talking about, maybe the other one too, was actually a 23 recruit. So that one flew over my head. I have to admit, when it comes down to Michigan football recruiting, you can follow it and you could be into it, but people that follow recruiting, they're more than just following it and into it. It is all day, every second, every update, everything. You have to know every little thing that's going on and every move and every date and every visit and who's on what, and who's on third and everything. and it changes. And it's not just a fluid situation. It's fluid, but it rapidly is changing. So yeah, I mean, I try to stay up. You guys, I can learn a lot, from Michigan fans. You need focus. You need intensity. You need smarts, and you need to be able to really. You can't just jump in and know what you're talking about. One time. You got to do it all the time, every day, or else you get exposed. Man, I get that. What you're saying, Antoine. You are somebody that's up to the second. We talked about Mullings not being able to see what was going on. And Wayne is correct. Could have been a touchdown. Account 22 is enjoying the verbals from the tight ends for the 24 class. Montrell, who jumps in about once a week, he's saying he's with you. Harbaugh can't recruit a decent offensive skill position to save his life. The offensive play calling sucks. The scheme sucks. I think he's being sarcastic there. Right? No. I don't know why that would be the case. Mark says the best drive because of execution, play calling, and the stakes could not be higher. Yeah, that's the one I went to. That's where I was at. The punter's talking about the transfer. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Oh, there's the game. That's what it looks like. This is Hausmann that the punters is talking about. Michigan transfer, committed, former 3-star. It does look like punters that he's in. It's up 13-0, an answer for a lot of people. Michigan is like 7th in point differential. That sounds good too, isn't it? I think Montreal was joking. Montreal, maybe he's not joking because he was talking about he watered down JJ. Yeah, look, here's the thing about being critical and, keeping it real or whatever you want. I think there were points to be made about JJ. People were accusing Harbaugh, making him a game manager. And, like I said, I think there was some truth to what people were saying about, you talking about watering him down. But what happens is that Montreal is they go out onto the field and they get to play it out on the field. And how you would have done things for the previous, 12, 13 games, you would have, ran a lot more. Antoine would have put in a lot more route trees. And hell, I think I would have thrown the ball a lot more myself. If I was in charge, I wouldn't have gone to some of the trick plays Harbaugh did. But here's what we can say about his plan. It worked. And here's the thing about McCarthy. You could say, well, he should have done this and done everything else. JJ McCarthy played his best game in the biggest game. When they needed him the most, he played great. And you think he could have played any better against Ohio State? You're talking about watering him down? You're thinking, you're going to just say Harbaugh got lucky? Like, if it didn't work and Michigan lost to Ohio State, the things about watering him down and game manager and Harbaugh's too conservative and he telegraphs his plays. Like I said, there's some truth to some of that stuff. And if it didn't work against Ohio State, we could be sitting here talking about, Michigan, they just, when it comes down to the big boys, certainly when it comes down, but they were able to, what happens is that, like when I played basketball out on the playground and I'm out there, inevitably, because I'm a little bit older now, I'll get some young buck come over and walk up and say, let's play with my ball. And walk over he hadn't won the game yet. He'll be walking over and he's got this nice ball and he'll hand it to me. Let's play with my ball. You know what I do? I take his ball and I throw it off to the side. And I say, guess what? When you win, you can go ahead and use your ball. Until then, we're using this one. And I might spin it on my finger, and I might purposely just take a jumper on him right off the bat if he's guard me, and I might say something about, that ball's pretty nice. The point about this is that you can talk all you want, and you can have some criticism, and when it's warranted, but the ball don't lie. And when you win, Montrell, what are you complaining about? Like, the thing is, like, it was fine to have your opinions. Like I said, I wasn't just sitting there in lockstep with Harbaugh all year long saying, oh, boy, he really knows what he's doing, man. He's really got this thing down. But in the end, when he beat Ohio State, when he backed it up with then validating it in Indianapolis and won that, you know what I said? And credit goes to Harbaugh. And if you don't want to say ball don't lie, you know what the other thing you do? You look at the scoreboard. Here's what Harbaugh is saying to you, Montrell. Just go ahead. I'll go ahead and give you what Harbaugh is saying. He doesn't have to be here, but here's what Harbaugh has to say to Montrell. The first one is 45-23. That was the score of Michigan over Ohio State this year. You know what else, Montrell, Jim Harbaugh says to your criticism of him watering down JJ and wanting to go to triple and more? He says 13-0. You don't like that? That's what he wants. Get some more feedback up here. Get some more from Montrell. He's coming after it. Montrell didn't like the third. He thinks Michigan should have won by more points this year. He wanted to beat Illinois by more, maybe. Antoine's talking about some recruits that he's looking at. Mark talking about metrics with recruits. Most important one cannot be measured in film. Attitude, the ability to adapt and gel with his team. Yeah, I mean, that's going to take, like, look, we might think Michigan's 21 right now. Michigan might be looking at it and say, we got a top 10 class. Now, a lot of the coaches, but that, again, I feel the coaches like in my ear saying, yeah, you know what we're going to tell you? Scoreboard when it comes to recruiting. We're going to do it our way because we don't want, I think they look at the U and the U's down there celebrating big championships, and the U and Texas A&M, who just lost another one of their top recruits. We want to be like Texas A&M. We want to use that oil money. We want to bring in the number one. We want a recruiting national championship. Texas A&M won the recruiting national championship last year. You could have been a recruitnik and a fan of the Aggies, and it was a banner year for you. Like, man, we got Walter Nolan. We got all of these guys. Look at Jimbo is just bringing them in. This is the most decorated class. He's telling Saban to go to hell. How'd that work out for him? Now, look, in the U, they're out there. They got gold chains and yachts, and they're giving their guys millions of dollars, and they bring in speed and space, and that yacht sank. What was the U this year? They were terrible. So there's the flip side. You could just, cash. Pay that money out. Like I said, I'm going to say it one more time. I think some selective name, image, and likeness when it comes down to the 5 stars, where you might have to change your approach a little bit if you're Michigan, like walking over to the dark side and tiptoeing over the Rubicon, doing some of that. I think they might have to do a little bit of that. But, let's not act like they got to go full Jimbo Fisher, feeling like, Mario Cristobal and Jimbo Fisher. They got to follow in their footsteps. Here's Montrell again. He's had an interesting day here on the show. Actually, Iowa passes the ball more. That's a fact. I don't know maybe I missed your point. It's hard sometimes if I'm just reading the feedback and I miss it. Let's go. Skiing. Let's see what Wayne is saying here. He's talking about skiing. Skiing sucks. You guys want a fire Hardball when he was 2-4, and now he's turned things around and they're winning. It still sucks. Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't get down on people that wanted a change. I think it was more than reasonable. I think more than half of the Michigan fans and alumni and former players, I think they wanted Jim Harbaugh after 2020. I mean, he, uh, was going to be 0-6 against Ohio State. I mean, at some point, what are you going to do? Ward Manuel decided to, stay with him. And it was a great move. Oh, they could have went out and hired the Iowa State coach. He would have been likely the coach. And what would we be talking about? Let's go to H. Let's go to Riley, who's making it a great show. Let's see what I can get to Riley. Let's see Riley up on the top screen there. Let's see how I get to this, Riley. Sorry. I'm working on it. I'm going to it. When you get, I said this last week, but when you get 1 million now people on feedback, sometimes you just can't pop them up just like that. But we'll get to some of them here. Let's watch a play while I run through. Where are we at in this game? Well, looking pretty good. 31-20 Michigan. What'd they run here? 31-20. Oh, a little RPO, a little JJ. Sprint to the outside. And the Buckeyes. Oh, they made a tackle. There you go. Buckeyes making a tackle. Let's see what Riley has to say. Riley, one of our premier featured feedback members on Good Afternoon Michigan Football. Happy holidays to you, Riley, and your family. All right, let's see what he has to say. Riley says, do we have an issue with how we handle injuries? We have Cade, All, and now possibly Corum. Was this a problem at Michigan in the past? Well, I will go through each one of those individually. And this is what I would say to you, Riley. The thing that you're talking about, an injury with Corum and how they dealt with it, I don't know where that's coming from. I do know that there's a lot of people that cover Michigan, and sometimes they're going to listen to people, even they need to produce content because they've got a lot of people that think they like rumors and they like drama. A lot of people, they like the drama. I'm sure they're even the drama people are enjoying 13-0, but mostly they enjoy just the drama of a team and talking about injuries and things that you can't prove. And, there's going to be some drama there. So I don't know what you're talking about with Corum. I know Corum got hurt against Illinois. He came back in the second half and tried to go on it. I know that he tried to go against Ohio State. And now he had his procedure, and there is a chance, albeit a very small chance, that he could have played on January 9th if Michigan beats TCU in the championship game, although I wouldn't expect it. So I don't know if there's any drama surrounding that. I don't know what it could be. Is there somebody saying that, there's something else going on there? I would say, who's the person that is putting the story out there? Maybe they are somebody that, has some something behind their name, but maybe they're drama filled. Now, the thing with Eric All, he had an injury. Sometimes I haven't quite been able to figure it out. I see what he's saying, and I see his dad is miffed about it. Did Michigan force him to play? Did Michigan advise him to play? Did Michigan not advise him to play? Did Michigan advise him not to play with a certain injury? It's one of those things. I'm not 100% sure. It's going to happen. You would hope that, especially with a guy of All status who had so much success in Michigan and was a captain, that, that they could all figure things out. When you start going for second opinions, we know how that works. These things happen with every team. And you're going to have a drama like that. Any team that I've ever been on, it's girlfriends, it's money, it's injuries, it's playing time. This is high school. Imagine stepping it up by a million. You're going to have these issues. You would think that with a winning team and a winning program, you wouldn't have as many, but people, everybody wants to be a superstar. Everybody thinks they're getting taken care of. And, you don't like what a doctor's telling you. You don't like what a coach is saying, for you. You can get, those things are going to happen. You could be, and I'm not taking up for Michigan. I'm not taking up for all. I don't know what went on there. But here's what I do know. I know that these situations happen. Now, if you want, this is what all's saying, you can look on his Twitter page. I mean, look at his old man. He's bad-mouthing Michigan. I don't know if he has a point. Now, the thing about McNamara is I don't think he has much of a point here. He went on this podcast talking about, he had hurt his knee against Michigan State, but that was a whole other story. And then when he hurt it this year in the UConn game, Michigan had told him that one thing, and then he went out and got a second opinion, and they were telling him another. But then he said, but there's a whole other story about what happened in the preseason. Two things there when you listen to somebody. When they start telling you things, and then the McNamara said, well, there's a whole other story with what Michigan State said. Well, what do you mean there's a whole other story? What is it? I'm not giving you're playing the drama card. You're playing the I'm upset card, but you're not telling anybody what happened. You're saying, well, I'm not going to get into it, but it's a whole other story. Dismissed. When you get into, he may have had a point that Michigan might have wanted him to play this year, and their doctors said one thing and he had another. He may have had a point there, but when you're getting into, and I understand that he was upset about how things worked out with him starting and everything. But when he said, yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on with the team, but I'm not getting into that. Why not? Those are the two things, the two biggest things that we want to hear from you on, and you're talking about, you're saying that you're not getting into. You know what? I'm not listening to you, Cade. I know that there are problems there. Most Michigan fans have wished you luck. Same thing with Eric All, because they understand that things, even when you're a captain, even when you're a quarterback, that you can get upset, parents can get involved, the doctors can get involved in all of it. Go find people that like the drama. And look, you get a losing team. Look up at East Lansing right now. That's all people are doing. Backbiting, nasty stuff, back and forth. Craziness. Can't recruit, money this, because they don't have anything else to go on to. I prefer to focus in on the games and what happens there. Scoreboard. And here's the thing about Cade McNamara. If you're just joining us, all the way back at the beginning of the show, I said, hey, what was the best drive of the game? What was it? And it ended up being in this game that I have up on the screen, Michigan, Ohio State. And there's the one half of Minterklink. Oh, is this this could be the big play by Senior still. Let's see. In fact, I think it is. Got the tight end down here, drags across. Senior still ends up knocking it away from him. Let's see. Oh, big play. Nice play. Look at Mikey. That's what the team calls him. Coaches call him. And in this situation right here, that's what I'm calling him. Mikey Sainristil still. Let's look at it. Head on a swivel, sees the ball into the chest, gets his hand. Oh, that was going to be a catch and a touchdown. Ooh, and he knocks it away. Look at him. Plays that ball perfectly. Doesn't interfere with him at all. Textbook. Yeah, Jesse Minter likes it. Best drive of the year was in this game for Michigan. And I went through how McCarthy in his starts, 9 of 12 possessions, opening possessions, Michigan scored a touchdown. And then 11 of his 12 opening series, Michigan came away with points. The opening series of the year was Cade McNamara, who got the start against Colorado State. Do you know what Cade did in his first series and what Michigan did in the first series of the year? 3 and out. You know what K did in that game? He had a handoff, but then he had 2 throws. And both of the throws, they were a pair of poor throws to Cornelius Johnson. He lost it right there. He felt the pressure. It's what it looked like for me. And he was talking about, you guys don't know the whole story. Here's the story I know. Harbaugh said, look, you get Colorado State, JJ's going to get Hawaii. Going to make a decision after that. You went out there and lost the quarterback starting job in one series, the opening series, and it set the tone. That's what happened in that game. The part of me feels for Cade that way. The other part is, business is tough. It's ruthless and all of this. And, part of that is college football. And in the end, Michigan, they succeeded with the plan that they went with. And I'm sure that, there's somewhere in there, Cade's a competitor. He's thinking, if I would have been in there, I'd be 13-0. But I ask you the question, do you think Michigan would be 13-0 with Cade McNamara? I say maybe, but I'm going to say no. Of course it's maybe. I don't think Michigan beats Ohio State with Cade McNamara. I think they could have won all of the other games. Yeah. I don't think they would have beaten Ohio State. That's how I see it. So I know that's a lot of drama. Let's get more of the feedback up here. Brad says Mark Press was right. I don't know who Mark Press was right. The media was right. Jim was 0-5. If that game had happened in C-Bus that year, Jim wouldn't have a job today. I tend to agree with that, Brad, but look, when I remember I was working in Detroit for the first 5 years of Harbaugh's tenure. And by year 3, there were a lot of people that were turning on Harbaugh. Like, he's had 3 years. Yeah, it didn't work. Even after 2016, it was the JT Barrett play. And then the third year they couldn't get it done. It was like he had plateaued. He can win a lot. And it seemed to be a battle of Michigan fans who were like, I don't want to go back to the Rich Rod and Brady Hoke. Harbaugh's not that bad. And so they're going to stick with him through a third year, through a fourth year, through a fifth year. Through a fifth year. There were a lot of people that had turned at that point, even though it wasn't all that it could beat Ohio State. And I kept saying that. I put myself in the position of athletic director and said, would I make the call? And I said after those years, there's nobody that knows what it takes more to beat Ohio State than Jim Harbaugh. That's what I kept saying because I believed it. So you stay with them. But then when the pandemic year happened, Harbaugh just didn't look great on the sideline. Obviously, the team didn't play for him. It just looked like it was over. Sometimes it just has that look. And I know, some Michigan fans, they're never going to turn on a coach. They're always going to stay with them. And so the ones that did were able to come back and say, see, I stuck with him. And, congratulations, for those of you that were able to do that. And, some people are a little more short fused. They're not given as much leash. I think that, I try to be, fair on all of it. I didn't think anybody was harsh or overboard after 2020, asking to go in a different direction. And so I don't think anybody needs to say, yeah, I told all you got naysayers. Like there were more naysayers than weren't. I look at it like this. It ended up being a guy that looked like, one of Michigan's favorite sons. A Michigan man through and through. Couldn't get it done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times against Ohio State. If it would have been a 6th time, maybe they would have scored 100 points on Jim Harbaugh. Didn't happen. They stayed with him, cut his salary. And I remember in those darkest days, I was driving, I think it was on Christmas Day, probably of 2020. Season was over. Could it have been a year, probably a year before that. Because the pandemic, I wasn't going to a movie on Christmas Day. So 2019, cousins, brother-in-law. They were going to see whatever the Star Wars movie was. And it was along the way, and we were talking on the way, and it was like, this is the darkest of days, of Michigan football not being able to beat Ohio State. And I remember saying, what a story it would be if Michigan was able to turn it around with Jim Harbaugh, because nobody believed it. Nobody thought, except a scant few, that he would be able to do it. And then he's done it. He's completely turned it around from looking like it was never going to happen to most people getting ready to move on. And now he has them on the precipice. It makes a great story. And if he can finish it off, it'll be the ultimate Michigan story. From the beloved son who people had, all were ready to say, it's just not going to happen, to him now, everything that you dreamed about when he started, having you right there. It's all pretty amazing when you think about it, all of that. Let's see if we have any more. I don't know. Montreal, it's an interesting day. I don't know why he's talking about. I don't know what he's on about. I think it's falling off. The feedback. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, you guys want to know about recruiting? From now till tomorrow, I'll be diving in. I'll be looking at the numbers. I'll be looking at the recruits, the percentages. I'll be making some calls. Who's in? Who's out? What's happening up to Wednesday? Does Michigan have a shot? NIL, transfer portal. Those are the kind of things I'm going to be working on over the next 23 hours. I hope to see you here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Till then, everybody have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Bye.